So I have been sent this video right here on Instagram more times than I can count. So what I did is I went ahead and I grabbed the full version of this video so I don't misrepresent anything that he's saying. I also grabbed him doing this same exact talk in another video in which he goes a little bit deeper into some of the things that he's saying. So let's break this down.
How many of you have ever heard of the universal law of attraction? All right. How many of you believe in the universal law of attraction? Okay, good, because if you don't, you're about to. Because for 22 years, I never believed in any of that spiritual mumbo jumbo. Until one day, I found a law in the physical universe. It's a law in physics. You might want to write this down.
So I always find it interesting when somebody says, oh yeah, I didn't believe in that spiritual mumbo jumbo, and then I found this physical law in the physical universe, and now I believe in this spiritual stuff. I'm just like, my dude, if you discovered something using the tools of the physical universe, then what you have discovered is something physical, because spiritual, by definition, is beyond the physical. Now, you can do scientific research and look into the physical universe and find some things that may infer something spiritual, but you can't discover something spiritual using the tools of the physical universe. It's like searching for wood with a metal detector. You got the wrong tools here.
It's called constructive interference. And it says that when two wavelengths of equal length meet, the size of the frequency doubles.
So the frequency doesn't double, the amplitude doubles. Frequency is just how many times something happens between 2 points in time, how frequently something happens between 2 points in time. So if the frequency doubled, it would be a completely different wavelength and a completely different frequency. What actually doubles is the amplitude. So just wanted to make that clear.
Neither Einstein or Newton could originally explain this theory. But what this means is that you can get energy from conversation. You can get energy from what I'm telling you right now. You can get energy from the people around you. Or they can take energy away from you.
So this is just my opinion, but I think that that's a huge leap in logic to make the claim that because the amplitude doubles, therefore you are now getting energy from somebody during a conversation. I would say no. If, let's say, me and you are speaking at the same time and it's at the same frequency, it would just get louder. It wouldn't necessarily mean that you're giving me more energy or I'm giving you more energy. We're just talking at the same time and it's getting louder. The amplitude is increasing. This is why we call speakers amplifiers, because it makes things louder. So I think that that's just a huge leap in logic to say, yeah, because the amplitude increases, therefore the law of attraction is real. I'm not seeing how one follows from the other.
And so I started to go down this spiritual rabbit hole, and I found a research project called the Spain Scale of Emotion, SPANE. Researchers were able to take 25,000 subjects and put them in a room, and they were able to measure the frequency leaving the human body.
So what I want to do now is switch to the other video in which he goes more in depth on this specific topic right here.
SPANE stands for the scale of positive and negative energy.
Spain doesn't stand for the scale of positive and negative energy. It stands for the scale of positive and negative experience.
They took 25,000 participants in Germany and they put them inside of something called a Faraday's cage. You know what a Faraday's cage is? It's an area that is devoid of all frequency. There's no microwave, no radio wave, there's no frequency of any kind in there. No EMF, no 5G, nothing. And they measured the frequency that was leaving a human being's body.
All right, let's go back to the original now.
Researchers were able to take 25,000 subjects and put them in a room, and they were able to measure the frequency leaving the human body.
So were they put in a room or were they put in a Faraday cage? Because we have conflicting stories here.
And they were able to isolate the frequency with such accuracy that they could tell the difference between somebody experiencing anger and passion, joy or arousal, elation or despair with that accuracy. And do you know what the most powerful frequency to leave the human body is? The frequency of authenticity. Authenticity is 4,000 times more powerful than love.
All right, let's go back to the other one now.
Love is close. This is actually 4 times more powerful than love.
I thought it was 4,000 times more powerful. I'm just nitpicking. I'm sure he misspoke.
Close, Joy, authenticity. Who said that? Right there. Have you seen me speak before? Okay, good. That was awesome. It's the frequency of authenticity. It has an amplitude that is so powerful and so attractive that can actually affect the frequency of another human being that you're talking to. Authenticity only happened, and the Spain scale of emotion proved this, when your words are truthful and you believe what you're saying. If your words are not truthful, or you do not believe what you're saying, you cannot emanate the frequency of authenticity.
All right, so we have a lot to break down, but I just want to speak on what he just said. If in order to admit the frequency of authenticity, one would need to be telling the truth and believing what they're saying, I would have to ask, what if somebody is speaking a subjective truth, or somebody is speaking something that they think is true but is actually false or inauthentic? Because truth sits outside of us. And there are many things that you believe and I believe that may not necessarily be true, but if we are asked about it, we would believe that what we're saying is authentic. But anyway, so this research study that he is discussing does not exist in the way that he claims it exists. Now, the study exists. The Spain study of emotions exists, but not in the way that he's describing it. I spent hours and hours and hours and hours researching, digging to find this study in the way that he is explaining it, and I just could not find it. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I would love to see the actual study that he's discussing, but I am very skeptical. I do not believe it exists in the way that he's describing it. And this is the reason. I found one in China. I found one in Germany. They do these studies all over the world. And they all study the frequency of certain emotions, but not a frequency in the way that Gary is describing it, in their emitting a frequency from their body. But the frequency they're talking about is how many times these people experience a certain kind of emotion, or how frequently they experience this emotion within 2 points of time that is given to them. And then how they collect this data is just by asking them questions. They don't put these people in a cage. They don't put them in a room and measure the frequency that's coming off of them, and they're not able to tell exactly and pinpoint the exact specific emotion that somebody is feeling due to the frequency emanating off of their body. That is not the frequency that is being discussed in these research projects. Again, it is the frequency of how many times some of these participants felt a specific emotion during a specific amount of time. Also, they did not have 25,000 participants in Germany. The closest one I could find was in China. They had 21,000. If I'm remembering off the top of my head real quick, the one in Germany only had about 500 or 600 participants. Now, what I think could be happening is wherever Gary got this information from, or whoever Gary got this information from, they could be combining a few different research projects together and just putting it under the umbrella of this Spain study of emotions. Now, there have been studies in where they put someone in a Faraday cage and then they ask them to perform certain tasks or think certain thoughts or try to feel certain emotions, and then they measure their brain waves with an EMF. And there's also studies at MIT that have used radio waves to try and figure out what emotion you're feeling. But they do this, they call it an EQ radio, but they do this by just measuring your breathing and the rhythm of your heart. And they take that data and they use it in order to try and determine what emotion you are feeling at that specific time. So maybe whoever he learned this from, like, kind of combined all of these things together and accidentally put it under the umbrella of the Spain study of emotions. But even if you break these studies down individually, none of them have anything to do with what Gary is talking about. Now, what concerns me, just from hearing him talk, is that he made the claim that he discovered this while going down spiritual rabbit holes. And this is exactly why I titled my book, Law of Attraction, a gateway drug to spiritual heroin, because that's exactly what I believe the law of attraction is. It is a gateway drug that leads you down a rabbit hole of chasing spiritual high after spiritual high after spiritual high. I'm not saying that this is what Gary is doing, but when you tell people the law of attraction is real and you get them buying into this pseudoscience, it has a whole lot of spiritual baggage that comes with it. So with that being said, guys, sorry, this does not prove that the law of attraction is true. These research studies that Gary is using to validate the claim that the law of attraction is real have not been conducted in the way Gary is claiming they have been. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like, share, subscribe. And if you really enjoy it, consider being a Patreon supporter, because I have removed all YouTube ads from my YouTube videos. So thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one.